will, definitely.
All right, guys. I think we're gonna have a couple people keep on rolling in, but we're just gonna do general announcements to get started. Can you guys see my screen? Yes. Okay, sweet. So on the agenda, we have a community service opportunity, NUMA network update, our Pliables fundraiser, which is actually going on right now, and our sales workshop. So we have we're doing a high school panel coming up. We're going to send a couple members to speak to some high school students in the Boston area and kind of educate them on what a career in marketing and, you know, going on a business path as a whole looks like as a college student. So if you're interested in joining this panel, scan our QR code up here in the corner, and then it's going to be the third link. And then I can also drop this link in the chat as well. So if anyone doesn't, you know, snag that right now, you guys can just look at it later. All right. And then we have a NUMA network info session tonight, which is going to be right after the meeting. Kateri, do you want to say anything about that, or just?
Yeah, hi. So I'm VP of membership, so I'm running this NUMA network update. So we're gonna have a meeting from 8 to 8:30. I'm just giving you an overview of what the program is, like maybe doing some introductions, talking about what it's gonna look like this semester and next semester and all that fun stuff. So be sure to come to that.
Awesome. Alrighty. Great. And then we have our Pliables fundraiser going on. It was from 5 to 9 p.m. today. So we're finishing up around 8. So if you have any time afterwards and you're in Boston, please head over to Pliables, mention NUMA, and we'll get a percentage of those sales. So easy fundraiser, and it'll really help us out. So without further ado, we have Professor Ken Cieplik with us tonight. Did I pronounce your last name right?
Close? You did good, Rachel.
Let's go. All right. So he'll be running our sales workshop, and we can jump right into it. If you want to share your screen, I'll stop sharing mine.
Okay.
Oh, also, are you okay with this being recorded so we can post it on our YouTube channel?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Great. Okay, can you see my screen?
Yep.
Great. Okay, we will rock and roll. Well, Rachel, thank you for the invitation. I think I was thinking back on it. I think this is the third year in a row I was speaking to NUMA. I have a lot of respect for what your organization does. You know, I know that between your classwork and, you know, protecting yourself with COVID and everything that's going on in the world, it's hard to have time for another association, another meeting. But I think you guys do great work. I respect what you do and what you stand for. And so I've always made myself available to NUMA. I remember meeting Marketo at a meeting that you guys held, and you invited Marketo from the West Coast, and they came and presented the Marketo platform. I found it totally invigorating, very informative. I've used Marketo in my class a couple semesters in a row, and so you actually brought value to my course by introducing me to Marketo. So what I want to do today is I want to talk about sales, and I do teach a course in the university in sales management, and some of you on the call have taken my class, so a little bit of this might be redundant, but hopefully I have some fresh material for everybody. But I just believe that sales is it's a wonderful profession. The way I got into it is when I was your age. And, you know, I was engaged when I was in graduate school, and I was getting married, and my wife was still in college, and I got a master's in teaching and in education. And I was thinking, like, gosh, if I become a high school teacher and coach or a college football coach, I'm not going to make any money. and I have a wife to be, and I don't think we can live on my coaching and or teaching salary. I better get a job in business. And so before I got married, and as I was finishing my master's program, I started interviewing around the Boston area. And I went to Brown, both for my undergrad and my graduate degree. My wife was from Rhode Island, going to BC. And so I started interviewing, and I wanted a job in sales, either in, consumer products or advertising. And I was fortunate enough to walk into a local Wilson Sporting Goods district office, and they liked my resume, a couple interviews, and boom, I got my first sales job. And what got me into sales is that, like a lot of you, I had an athletic background, and I was very competitive by nature. I just love someone to tell me what I can't do, and then I will prove them wrong, and I will show how I can do it. And I love the competitiveness of sales. I love having specific goals. I like being able to make more commission based on my, better performance. And to me, it felt like the closest thing to sports, competing in business, in the sales arena, and seeing how good you could be. So that's how I got into it. And I want to, I'll talk a little bit of my background, but this meeting's not about me, it's more about sales. And I want you to interject, ask questions as we go along. If I talk for an hour, it hasn't been a good meeting. If you interject with questions, then it will be a good meeting. So I started out, as I said, in Wilson Sporting Goods, and I sold in New Jersey. And I had never been there, and I'm newly married, and we moved into a little apartment. My wife started going to school at Montclair State College, and I got a company car, and I filled it with samples, and off I went. And one thing about Wilson is they had a really great training program. And we were fortunate to have a lot of former Procter & Gamble middle managers. And Procter & Gamble, to this day, is still a phenomenal consumer products company. And what they taught the discipline of how to do sales in a very pre-planned professional manner. And we were taught to have a plan before every call, to understand like what our 3 goals were for the call. And we would write it down. This is before the age of computers, and you'd write it down on a planning sheet. And you would actually go into that call with a plan of what you were going to present, what you were hoping to sell, and where appropriate, what a suggested order was. And, you would travel with your manager, who was either the Procter & Gamble former executive or someone from, corporate headquarters. And as the week started, the person I was traveling with, he would give the first couple presentations. And then as the day went on, I would pick up the presentation, and we'd get back in the car, and we would kind of download like, hey, what do you think went well? What could you have improved on? And we really analyzed the sales call in a very professional, planned manner with objectives, what we were trying to accomplish, and to maximize the productivity of the sales call. And that planning, that professionalism that I learned in my first company, in my first job, I was able to carry throughout my career. And I am a huge believer in doing the planning, doing the detail work, understanding, where you want to try to get to and how your product or service could fit this customer, and making it a very professional type of presentation. It's not, the good old boy network. It's not like, hey, let's go out for a 3-martini lunch and, you'll give me an order. All the misperceptions about sales, they're party boys, they big expense account, they're out, they're out having fun. It's not really a job, and there's a lot of jealousy towards sales. But, in my opinion, in my experience, It was very professional. It was competitive. It was planned. It was strategic. And it was very mentally challenging to figure out how to find the right mix of product for each customer. So I did sales at Wilson. I got promoted into headquarters and a sales planning function, which is really developing the programs and the goals for the field, and then being like the headquarters guy who tracks the progress against goal and gives the salespeople the selling aids that they need to introduce a special sales program, a special drive, or a special initiative of the company. And then, you know, at a very young age, I was offered the chance to be a manager in New England for Wilson. And my wife wanted to get back out east, so I played my cards right, and I got promoted and moved back to New England. And then I took on managing a sales force of 6 people, all of which were older than me, right? So I'm 26, and they range in age from like 30 to 55. But, you know, I had done their job. I was in the field for 2 years in New Jersey and a year in headquarters, and I would never ask them to do anything that I hadn't done when I was carrying a bag in sales. And so I knew what their job was about, and I knew, you know, how to coach them and motivate them and, you know, work with them and develop them. So that Wilson, so eventually we went through a reorg, and I ended up, you know, I lost my management slot. And, you know, there was 2 managers in New England, and one had 10 years seniority. So they gave that guy the job, and I was, you know, I was asked to go back into sales. I was totally PO'd. I was so angry. And I really went at the vice president who gave me that news. I'm like, you're making a mistake. I don't care if Ron has 10 years more experience. He's not as good of a manager. You're making a big mistake. And I went at this guy so aggressively. He's like, well, Ken, if you don't want this job, then just don't come back to work on Monday. I said, no, I'm not saying that. I'll take the job, but you're making a mistake. Well, I couldn't get out of there quick enough. And I quickly got my resume together, found a new job, and I was out of there in a matter of 3 weeks. And I probably left too quickly. I should have been much more patient and thoughtful and really made the right move. And I think when I left, I didn't make the right move. Well, eventually, I got calls from previous people that knew me from Wilson, and that brought me into Chaps Ralph Lauren. And I had a really nice run there for 5 years as a salesperson and as a VP of sales, running the whole country. And that was from my network. That was a former Wilson executive who knew of me, who brought me into Chaps. And then after Chaps, I get a call from another former Wilson boss who was now at Reebok. And he brought me into Reebok. And I was, you know, managing the whole Midwest and footwear. Then I managed the whole country in apparel sales. Then I managed a lot of the specialty businesses like tennis and golf, team sports. Eventually, I ran all of like operations and sales planning for the whole country. And I had a great 17-year career at Wilson. And then I got a call at Reebok. And then we were going through a reorg at Reebok, and I left and I went to Fila. And the guy I went to work with at Fila was a former associate at Reebok. So it all intertwined. And the message behind all of that is, as you start your careers, you're going to build a network. You're going to have a boss. And that boss, if you're good, the boss is going to remember you. And when that boss moves on to a different position or a different company, they likely will want to bring you along. I never had to look for a job. You know, I looked for my first job, and all my jobs after that were a result of the network that I had built. So my experience was, you know, I sold for Wilson, I sold for Chaps, Ralph Lauren, I managed for both of those companies. I had, you know, general management experience with some of those companies. So I had a really fun, very energizing career in consumer products, and I loved 95% of it. So I have no regrets in my career, and it's actually fun in the course that I teach in sales management at Northeastern. I'm able to utilize some of my past experiences and, you know, make it relevant to the material we cover in class. So that's my background. Just to stop for a second, have any of the students on the call had any experience in sales, either as a part-time job or in their co-op? Anybody, you can just talk up, or if you want to raise your hand, I can call on you. Okay.
I mean, I don't know if anyone's planning on raising their hand, but I can go. On a very small scale, I was a barista, so I sold like coffee and stuff for a company. And then I also am a tennis coach, and I kind of sell some tennis products to some of my clients that I teach tennis to.
Great. So like as a tennis coach, what were some of the products you might have sold?
Just like loose, like cans of balls, grips. If I were to recommend someone for a specific racket, I could get like a commission, which was kind of cool. So yeah.
Okay, you know, very cool. So I had a student in class a few semesters ago, and he was like, you know, professor, I was that kid who at 8 years old, I'd fill up my backpack with candy bars and sodas, and then I would ride my bike to the playground, and I would sell those candy bars and sodas to my friends in the playground. And that's what I did. That's how I started in sales, you know. And I'll never forget that story, because the way he described it, you can just visualize this little, you know, 10-year-old kid filling up his backpack and going to sell sodas and candy bars. So, you know, I think we all touch sales in some ways. You know, in my class, I teach a lot about public speaking and presentations. And you don't have to go into sales, but if you're a better public speaker, if you're a better presenter, you're going to command the room. People are going to like listen to you. You're going to get your points across. You're going to be a better communicator. So a lot of sales skills are applicable in any walk of life. When you're with a group of friends and you're trying to persuade them to go to Cafe A versus Cafe B, you are in a sales situation. You're using your persuasive skills to align people with your point of view. So it's a great profession. And don't believe, you know, the used car salesman perception about sales. It's not about high pressure. It's not about being in your face. It's not about, I will not take no for an answer. You know, it's more about being a consultant. It's about developing opportunities, being a problem solver, coming up with solutions. It's a very mentally creative and challenging position, because you got to find the right fit with your product and service to match up with the customer's needs. And you got to customize it. What's right for customer A is probably not going to be right for customer B. And you really have to plan that out and think it through. So I want to raise up the status of the salesperson, because it's a very noble, professional profession, and it's one that you can make a lot of money at, and it's one that is more recession proof than other industries, other jobs. Maya, did you raise your hand?
Yeah, I actually did also kind of work in sales. Like my father actually owned a deli. And so every week he would like buy produce and things like that. And I would be like the cashier. So like I would have the firsthand basis of like selling goods and things like that.
Great. What did you do when you had a really obnoxious, hard to handle customer? How did you handle that?
Oh gosh, I had to hold my cool, but like I just tried to be as polite as possible and try to abide to any like requests that they had. But you really have to put on like a good calm face.
Yeah, exactly. Because you don't want to win an argument with a customer, right?
Yeah, you can't
You
pick.
don't want to be right. You
That's
could be right. Yeah, you don't have to tell them that. So yeah, so all of that. I have in my current class, I have a student who's a server in a restaurant, and she's learning tremendous skills, working with the public, right? Like how to handle people who are difficult to handle, how to smile, how to take the higher road, how to solve their problem in a reasonable way, right? So I think we can all learn a lot about what sales is in regular jobs that we all do. Okay, I want to talk now about sales and marketing. And this is a really interesting topic because they are two different disciplines, but they're very closely linked. So let me throw that out as a question. Like, how do you think sales differs from marketing? Anybody want to take a shot at that?
I'll take a shot at it. So is sales more person to person and marketing more like behind the scenes?
Yep. I think most definitely. Sales is, you deal with the customer every day, all the time. Marketing, I think, is a little more strategic, right? Marketing is a little more cerebral, although I would argue that the best salespeople are also very strategic and very thoughtful in their planning of their business. But, marketing, they tend to, build the brand cachet. They develop kind of the product matrix. They figure out how to convey a consistent brand message to the consumer. And they tend to be a little more cerebral. Salespeople tend to be a little more transactional. They're a little bit more about the now. They're a little bit more about, I got to make my quota for the month or the quarter or the year. They fight for the customer. Sometimes marketing only fights for the company. And where the conflict exists is, here sales will be like, hey, that national marketing campaign, it's not connecting. It's not moving the needle. My sales to the consumer at retail haven't picked up, and you're in the middle of running this big campaign. Why don't you give me that money and I'll do a local campaign with my store? I could spend the money better locally than you're doing nationally. And then the marketing people, they say, you damn sales guys, you always want a lower price. It's always about the customer with you. You don't care about the brand. You're not strategic. You don't understand that we're building the brand for the future and for the power of the brand. And we're raising prices. You guys keep asking for lower prices. So that's kind of in a nutshell, kind of this conflict. And we talk about this in my class about, well, how can they work better together? And, and then in your co-ops, you might have seen this. But Aylin, you had your hand raised. Did you want to offer something?
My name is Eileen. Why do you keep forgetting my name?
Eileen, I'm sorry.
It's okay. No, I was looking back. I pulled up my essay for the ending the war between sales and marketing, that little quiz that we had.
Yeah.
And I was thinking about, okay, well, it said describe how sales and marketing might disagree on the 4 Ps. And for my specific co-op, there was a huge disagreement on product between sales and marketing. So I was working at Wolverine Worldwide, which is shoes, which is like what you're familiar with Reebok and Fila. But so the sales perspective is they wanted product to be shaped by the needs of their customers. So Zappos, Amazon, Dillard's, whatever their key customers were. Whereas marketing was more concerned about releasing the products that were like the trendy products. They had the broader appeal. But whenever we had our customers come in, our accounts come in, they wanted those core products. So sales was more concerned with pushing the core products, where marketing wanted to push the newer, trendier products.
Great. No, you articulated that greatly. They can work together because I think they're both kind of right. If a company is run by sales alone, they'll tend to only develop core product, the low-hanging fruit, the easier to sell items, great product, great price, but it may not be aspirational enough. It may not be edgy. It may not be developing more of a brand cachet. So the truth is, you need some of both. You need some core product. You need some statement product. You've got to go on a limb a little bit, but you also need things that you can sell and make your quota. So the truth is somewhere in the middle. And one thing we talked about in my class is that if you have a VP of sales and marketing, that's one way to solve the conflict, because now you have one person who's in charge of both disciplines, and they understand the importance of each discipline, and they're able to referee some of the conflicts. And I would even go a step further to say some of those conflicts are very healthy. They're very healthy, because sales should be pushing marketing to make sure they're giving them relevant product that the customers are asking for, that they know it'll sell in and sell through, and help make my job a little bit easier. But then marketing also needs to push sales and say, look, you can't just live off of the opening and middle price points. You've got to sell some of the higher end, more aspirational product. You don't have to sell as much of it, but you got to continue to evolve our brand. You need to continue to raise, the pinnacle, raise the status of the brand, so we don't become locked in that corner of only selling like core, basic, price point product. So I think some conflict's good. I would use an analogy like those that you are into sports. You can have an offensive coordinator and a defensive coordinator, and they're part of the same team, but in practice, they want to beat each other. And by competing and pushing each other, it's going to make the offense better and the defense better. So there has to be a little bit of a dynamic conflict, but it can't be so destructive that it tears apart the company. I remember when I was at Reebok, there was this argument from the top, and it was like, you sales guys, you haven't sold enough. You should have been selling more of this product. And the pushback from the sales department was, you know what? We actually sold too much. The product is selling at 2% a week instead of 10% a week. So the product's not connecting with the consumer. And now we have a big headache in terms of returns or markdowns, because the amount of product we sold is not being consumed by the consumer. So how can you say we didn't sell enough when in actuality, we probably sold too many? Because the consumer wasn't pooling it. They weren't digesting it. So I don't think business should never be kumbaya, we all get along, everything's great. I think there needs to be some conflict. I think sales and marketing should challenge each other, but in a respectful manner. And by those departments pushing each other, you're going to end up with a stronger company. And the same thing with operations. Operations should be pushing sales to come up with a better forecast, with knowing their business better, making sure that we have the right product and the right amounts in the warehouse. And that's a product of forecasting, which has really got to come from the sales department. And then the push on marketing is, give me brand building initiatives, but also help sell through the product that's currently in the market. You can't always be building for the future. There won't be a future unless you take care of the current scenario. So as Eileen said, there's got to be a push and a pull between marketing and sales. And I think that's healthy. If it gets destructive, then the company hasn't done a good job of refereeing the two departments. So have some internal competition, have them push each other, but make sure it's done in a respectful way so that they each end up better. Okay, any comments or questions on sales and marketing and how they differ? Okay, let's move forward. I'm going to show you 3 videos, and we're going to do them one by one, and then I'm going to ask a couple questions. So all 3 videos are by a sales consultant, well-known guy named Dan Locke, L-O-K. And I'm going to show you the video, and when the video's done, I'm going to ask a couple questions that will lead into a really productive discussion about sales. So here's the first one.
I don't think we can see it. I think you might have to share a different screen. Like if you
Oh,
go
you can't.
to.
Hang on a sec. You can see it or you can't hear it?
Neither. I think if you go to like screen sharing and you pick the screen that has the video on it,
Let
like
me
it's, I
stop
think,
this. Hang on.
yeah.
Okay. Go to screen sharing
And then select whichever screen has YouTube open.
screen sharing. That one.
So I can see that you're on the presentation now.
Yeah.
Can you click to the yeah, maybe try going to that now.
Oop. Control. Oops. So you can't see that?
No, but I would say, okay, so I would say stop screen sharing and then restart.
Stop sharing.
Yeah. And then share screen and then click the screen that has.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can see it?
Yep.
And here. All right, great. Sorry about that.
No worries. And then I don't have the audio for it.
What's that, Rachel?
I don't have the audio. I don't know if anyone else can hear it.
All right, hang on. You know what? I'm going to get my stepson to help me out, okay?
Okay.
Just hang on. Just give me a 1 minute break.
Sure.
Hey, Nick, I need you. Nick, I need that. You're right. I'm not sharing the right screen. All right, so here, have a seat. So here's the video. And so I stopped it. It's not going up. See, I can hear it. So Rachel, can you see it but can't hear it?
Yeah, we can see it, but we can't hear it.
It has to do with sharing.
No, it's not muted. Maybe same as system speaker. So, let's see if I'll change anything.
Let's see.
Sure, Rachel.
Camilla said you have to press optimize with sound. Let's see. So it was a...
Yeah, like when you when you share your screen, like if you unshare and then do it again, like when you press like desktop 1 on the bottom, there's like a little like a checkbox that says like optimize with sound or optimize with computer sound. Like I've done that before, and it allows the video to be heard by the viewers.
So yeah, stop sharing.
Yeah, so stop sharing.
And then reshare, yeah.
So stop sharing, and then there should be something at the bottom that says optimize.
Like once you press share screen, like there might be like two little. Yeah, you see that?
Yeah, stop sharing.
Hopefully that should work.
Of negative preparation. Imagine you're going to a fight like martial art.
Can you see it?
You can go in thinking positively, thinking that you're going to win, thinking that, oh, I'm not going to.
Yeah, we can. Yeah.
Oh, it's working. Okay, great. Thanks, Nick.
So just want to pull the tab back to the beginning now.
Yeah.
Sir. Hey, Mr. Prospect, how are you today, sir? Okay. Okay, no sweaty palms. Oh my God, mouth stinks. Yes, 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 I can do it. Yes, I can do it. Yes, I can do it. I am a champion. I am a champion. Do 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 do. Okay. How to succeed in sales? You see, when it comes to sales success, it has very little to do with positive thinking. What you want is positive outcome. You cannot go to the bank and deposit positive thinking or your optimism. What you want is that commission check. So let me share with you what I used to do when I was a loser in sales and what I do today. Check this out. This is an opportunity of a lifetime. I know what our company could do for you. It's gonna be great, you're gonna love it. So do you wanna sign up like now? Oh. If positive thinking doesn't get the job done, then what do you need to succeed in sales? What you need is a game plan. You see, I don't believe the power of positive thinking. What I do believe is the power of negative preparation. Imagine you're going to a fight like martial art. You can go in thinking positively, thinking that you're gonna win, thinking that, oh, I'm not gonna get punched, I'm not gonna get knocked out. Well, you go in without training, without preparation, guess what? You get your ass kicked. In sales, it's the same thing. I am shocked by walking into different stores, right? Different sales conversations, dealing with so-called sales professionals, how unprepared they are. They don't know how to ask the right questions. They don't know how to find out about my needs, my pain points. They don't know my hot buttons. They don't know anything about me. They haven't even done their due diligence. They haven't done their research, learning more about the prospect. It is ridiculous. So when I go in, I want to be well prepared, meaning I want to have a plan. And the plan is this: a script. Some sort of script that I rehearse ahead of time going into a conversation, that I'm ready, I am prepared. Now you may be thinking, but Dan, if I use a script, won't I sound like a robot? Won't I sound like too mechanical? I'm not talking about those telemarketer where, you know, they call you and you're saying like, hey sir, how are you today? Would you like to buy? That's not what I'm talking about. That is using the script all wrong. What a script is designed to do is give you a game plan. Just like going to a fight, you study the opponent ahead of time, right? You know what moves they're gonna make. And you prepare yourself. You know what, that person, he is a very strong kicker. Well, let's be ready on how to counter that. That person is a very strong puncher. Well, let's deal with that. Let's be well prepared. Another thing you wanna do is, you wanna have an objection handling script, meaning that you have every single possible objection that the prospect could throw at you, and you're well prepared. You know, okay, they're gonna have the price objection, got it. You know they're gonna have that budget objection. You know what? Got it, I know how to handle that. They're gonna throw at you the, I wanna think about it. You know what? I know how to handle that. They're gonna throw at you, well, but your competitors charge a lower price. Guess what? No problem, I know how to handle that. You are well prepared. When you equip yourself with something like this, then you go into a sales scenario, you're not relying on positive thinking and hope that you'll get the sale and hope that the prospect likes you and hope that you will walk away with an agreement with a deal. No, you know going in, that's what's gonna happen. You're walking in with confidence and clarity. It's not about relying on hope or luck. Oh, today you'll get lucky and a good prospect will walk through the door. Hell no. Hell no. You know exactly what is gonna happen and you know what the outcome is gonna be. So, get yourself ready. Let me show you how to close a deal. I can appreciate that. And I know that our competitors charge a little bit less, right? They're always discounting their services. Why do you think they always discount their services? See, at the end of the day, I think the question is not so much about the price, it's about the value, isn't it, right? If it doesn't work, I mean, I always believe, I'm a businessman just like yourself, right? No fee is too high for success and almost any fee is too high for failure. What we want to do is make sure that we produce results for you. I want to be a revenue generator, a profit center for you, not an expense. Does that make sense? So do we have a deal? So, if you want to know my perfect closing script, and if you want to stop losing sales, click link below, and I want to give you.
Okay, are you guys with me?
Yep.
Oh, you can hear me. Okay, great. So what do you think of the video? Do you agree with the author, with Dan Locke? Do you disagree with it? What do you think about his approach to succeeding in sales?
I feel like he made it
Go for
seem
it, sorry.
a little bit. Oh, sorry. Did someone say
Go for it,
something?
go for it.
Oh, sorry. I said it seemed like it seemed a little bit more negative than I would have thought. Like I feel like people are probably they still use positive thinking. I think he was just using it like positive thinking was on the other side of like strategy, which I don't think I agree with.
Mm-hmm. Okay, great, great. Who else?
I kind of liked how he talked about like kind of the way I kind of understood it was like, you know, hope for the best but plan for the worst kind of thing, which I kind of agreed with and enjoyed hearing, because I do think that, you know, having a positive mindset can sometimes lead to complacency and a lack of preparation, which I have done as well. So I liked how he kind of, you know, took it from a more like a aggressive standpoint, which I think was good.
Great, excellent, thank you. Any other quick comments?
I definitely agree with kind of needing to understand your customer and maybe not taking the immediate no as an answer, like giving a little bit of pushback, but maybe not being too pushy.
Great, great. Thank you, Rachel. You know, I basically agree with the premise of what he's talking. He's talking about planning and preparation and being ready for almost anything. You know, what are the objections? Anticipate them, get ahead of them. Don't just go in and like, I'm going to be so positive that I want to get this order. It's not that simple. There has to be a game plan. There has to be preparation. Now, those of you that have taken my course, you know I'm a big believer in positive attitude, because one thing about sales is you get knocked down a lot and you have to have the inner strength to get back up and stay connected and stay positive and stay committed to your profession. So I think a positive attitude is important, but in and of itself, it's not enough. You have to be a technician. You have to be a planner. And I think Dan does a really good job of talking about that. So I want to go into a second video. I hope I can do this without screwing up. So let's see, how would I do this? If I go back to my PowerPoint. Okay, in this video, he's going to talk about the 3 most important skills in sales. So let me get this going. Can you hear and see this one?
No.
No, we're back to that again. Okay.
Maybe just screen share.
How do I do that again? Hey, Nick, can you come back? Hang on, I'm going to get the second video going in 1 second. I get the same problem in this video.
What's that one?
Because I go from PowerPoint back to the video. So I need to.
Is this the right video?
Yeah, that's the right video. How do we get to that? Optimize the screen.
You had to stop sharing before. How do you get that thing back up? What is it?
Let's see, go back to there. No, yeah, that's the meeting.
There it is.
Yeah, I sits down.
You hit this and do it. Maybe it is.
Multiple participants. Do that.
Come on, there is. Well, that's sharing. Share at the same time. I don't understand why it would have changed, you know?
Well, I went out to PowerPoint and I tried to go back into my, when I clicked on the video, it's like you have to do it all over again. So go to
Stop
share.
Do you want to do that again?
Oh, there it is, optimize. So it's then, oh, click on the video and then do share.
Yeah. You probably didn't have it up when you did that. Or, I don't know if you switched it on.
A successful salesperson. You see, most people don't.
Can you guys hear it now?
Yep.
Okay.
Know how
here we
to
go.
communicate. Fewer know how to sell. Almost no one knows how to close. If you're a salesperson, if you are a business owner, it is your duty, it is your obligation to close that sale. Now, maybe the kind of close that happens, maybe it happens after a presentation that you have given in a conference room. Maybe it happens over the phone. Maybe it happens in a shop. Maybe it happens in a showroom, or maybe it happens in a home kind of setting, or maybe it happens after you do an online demo. Whenever and wherever a close that is supposed to happen, it is your responsibility and your responsibility alone to close that sale. Most salespeople do not get this, right? They get very good at everything else. They're very good at prospecting, or maybe they get very good at cold calling. They're doing very good in terms of outbound, or they're very good at giving presentations, or they're very good at giving people demo online. But unless you close that sale, nothing happens. You become a very, very good presentation giver. You become a very good demo guy. And guess what? Those things don't get you to the bank. Closing is the only thing that gets you to the bank. So today, let me teach you 3 things. There's 3 skills that you must know. 3 important skills you must master if you want to earn more money. Sales skill number 1, the ability to empathize with your customers. You see, if you're selling low ticket item, or if you're selling a commodity, you're working in a retail shop, people come in, they grab and go, or you're selling something that's like transactional. Hey, just show them the aisle, or you show them stuff. Well, you don't really need to have empathy because you're just providing a quick answer, a quick solution. However, if you're selling anything that is significant, if you're selling something that's like high ticket, you need to have deep empathy. One thing I always say is this: people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. When you are selling something at a higher price, at a high transactional value, your customers need to know that you've got their back, and you have to be able to connect with people. You know what? If you want one big secret when it comes to having tremendous success, when it comes to closing, here's one: give a damn. Actually give a damn about the well-being of your customers. Give a damn about the result. Give a damn about their outcome. When you give a damn, if your product or service are not a good fit, you're gonna tell them it's not a good fit. If there's other people there are other people that could provide a better service, better than you will not hesitate to recommend that to your prospect. That is what I'm talking about. Giving a damn. I was doing a role play with one of my students during one of our live classes, right? We were doing role play, and he was saying all the right thing. He was asking the right questions and kind of following the formula, right? Saying the right words. But I said, you know what? You're not going to close. And he was like, oh, how come? I'm saying all the right thing. I'm following the formula. I said, I don't feel like you give a damn. I don't feel like you care. There's no empathy. You're like a robot. All your answers and questions are so mechanical and so robotic. I don't feel the connection. I'm not able to connect with you. If I don't connect and I don't feel that you care, I'm not gonna buy. And at first he was puzzled. He didn't quite get it. I said, do it again. And he'd do it again, he'd do it again and do it again. And then finally, after multiple times, he said, now that's better. Now it comes across that you actually care about their well-being. Very, very important to have the ability. Great closers have the ability to develop their deep connections with their prospects. Skill number 2, and that is the ability to uncover challenges and discover your prospects' pain points. I always say, no pain, no sell. The problem is not that you don't know how to sell. The problem is you don't know how to diagnose. Most salespeople, they talk too much. They don't know how to ask questions. You're losing sales not because you don't have product knowledge. You know your products or services very, very well. You're losing sales because you cannot diagnose exactly what your prospects' problems and concerns are. You see, your product doesn't drive sales. Nobody cares about that. Problem drives sales. In order for you to motivate, inspire, and empower your prospects to buy right now, you need to be able to understand and diagnose exactly what their problems are. Does that make sense? So think about this is where they are at, where your prospect is at. This is where they want to go. From where they're at to where they want to go, guess what? This is a gap. There's this gap. It is your job as a closer to make the prospect understand how your product or service or solution can bridge that gap. If you don't understand what this gap is, you're not going to close the sale. If all you do is keep pushing your features and benefits, they're not going to buy. That doesn't motivate them to buy. Then you're going to get objections like, yeah, you know what, that sounds good, but I kind of want to think about it. Let me get back to you. Or maybe follow up with me in 6 months. When you can help your prospects understand that you are the perfect company to help them bridge their gap, that's when they buy. See, sometimes the problem is not what it sounds like or what it looks like. Prospects don't even know exactly what their problems are. They might say, they come to you and say, hey, I want XYZ, and they might think XYZ, that's what's going to solve their problems. But actually, they actually need something else. Maybe they need DFG, right? They need something completely.
Ooh. Okay, I'm back. The video is getting a little long, so I wanted to stop it, but can you guys hear me okay? So he talks about 3 things in that video. The 3 skills are to empathize with the customer, to understand the pain points of the customer, and the last one is to be like water, meaning to be fluid, be adjustable, be flexible. But the key thing is the customer. And a lot of salespeople, they get really caught up on my company, my product, my marketing, features and benefits. Let me talk about it. But you're not making it relevant to the customer. You've got to ask the customer questions. You got to ask the customer what they think about marketing. You got to solve a solution for the customer. It's got to be customer focused, not internally focused, which is the key point there. So I want to go on to a couple more slides. Okay, the next slide, I just want to talk about what I think some of the key qualities are that separate the great salespeople from the average people? Or said another way, what separates the top 10% of sales leaders?
Oh, sorry, you're not sharing your PowerPoint.
Oh, okay, thank you.
No problem.
So where am I? Not that. Okay, here it is. Share screen. Okay, we're back on track.
There you go. Yep.
So these are some of, you guys can see it? Okay, great. So some of the qualities I think that the best salespeople exhibit are a tremendous attitude, power, positive attitude. You can take an average person with a great attitude and they can achieve extraordinary things. Conversely, you can take a very talented person with a bad attitude and their performance will suffer. Another quality is integrity. Do what you say and do it in the time frame you say it. Your word should be your bond. When you say you're going to get back to someone in 24 hours, you do it. When you say you're going to figure out a solution to a problem, come back with a solution. I've seen a lot of salespeople who were great presenters, but they just didn't have the integrity. They would start to lie. They would make up stories, and they would get caught up in their lies. But the great salespeople have absolute integrity. Their word is their badge. Commitment means I absolutely, positively want to be great, whatever it takes. You are committed to becoming one of the best salespeople. You are committed to getting over your quota, but you have an absolute stake in the ground. And we all know this from life. When you really, really want to do something, you figure out a way to do it. So you need the commitment to become the best. Planning is a lot what Dan Locke just talked about is what is the plan? What are you going to anticipate is going to happen in the presentation? And do you have a game plan? Language is positive, proactive words that are specific and measurable and achievable. So we talk about in sales, you have to have SMAC goals. They got to be specific, measurable, achievable, and consistent. But the language of a sales leader is, I will execute 3 promotions. I will sell 20% above my quota. I will exceed my, marketing plan by 10%. But there's specific, measurable words that tie into a measurable number. But that's the language of a sales leader. Flexibility and creativity. When there's a problem, how are you going to solve it? And with any problem, there could be 10 different solutions, but you got to be creative and flexible enough to think through different options, pull yourself back from the problem, think through solutions, and then come up with ideas. Follow through is simply what it says. And the empathy is what Dan Locke talked about, really feeling your customer pain points. And what are you going to do about it? And how can you solve, their problem? So those are some of the top qualities I see in the best sales leaders. And there's many others, but these are the ones that I think would be my top 8. Jobs and sales. A lot of you are approaching graduation. And if you're interested in sales, there's all kind of sales jobs out there. In fact, there's a lot more sales jobs out there, I think, than there are marketing jobs. But you look into finance. Finance has entry-level sales jobs. There's a lot of money to be made in finance. I had one of my students recently ask me, Professor, I'm thinking of a career in finance or in the athletic industry. What do you recommend? And I said, well, if it's about making money, substantial money, you're going to make more in finance. But the athletic industry it's a lot of fun. It's very competitive. It's tough. And there's a lot of extra benefits dealing in a product you really love. So, you know, those are some of the differences between finance and sports. In technology, there's all kind of tech companies that need help in sales. Software companies, they have a lot of jobs where you need to work with customers who are potential candidates for a software platform. The pharma and medical industry, which is really big here in Boston, there are entry-level sales positions there. And then consumer products, which is the world that I competed in, you always need people to be the main contact with customers to help, you know, drive business forward. And remember too that sales drives revenue. Without sales, there's no company. So when there's a recession, when there's a reorganization, I'm not saying that sales is never affected, but are you really going to take away a revenue producer? You're much more likely to cut out a marketing campaign. You're much more likely to cut out a promotion, but you need people that are driving revenue. So sales is really at the core function of the company. Without the revenue, there's no company. So you're really in a very important position. And we're running really short on time, but just a couple ideas. When you go to interview, how do you set yourself apart from your competition? And one thing Northeastern offers with your co-op program, you guys have a lot of work experience, and you should talk about that in your interview. Talk about not just your job responsibilities, but talk about how well you did. You know, I think most resumes do a great job of articulating what you did, but a lot of them don't talk about how well you did it. My boss evaluated me as the best co-op person in 2019. I achieved the highest rating of any co-op person in this company in the last 2 years. But not just what you did, but how well you did it. The adversity question, I think you've all heard that one, but give me an example of an obstacle you had in life and how did you deal with it? And one thing I'm big on is passion. I love it when my students say, I love your passion. You really convey that when you talk about the content of the class, but passion sells. When you really, truly want a job, you need to tell the person that's interviewing you, I would love to be part of your team. I know I can make a difference. Just give me a chance. You will not be disappointed. Another skill is listening and asking thoughtful questions, and obviously language. Strong language. Watch out for ums and ahs and you knows and kinda and sort of, and it's just kind of like this. And utilize your voice. You know, volume with your voice, range, high, low, soft, loud, and strong eye contact. Those are just some of the skills I think that you can employ in an interview to increase your chances of nailing the job. And I know we're out of time, but any quick questions? You can certainly all reach me via email at Northeastern if you want to follow up with any particular topics. But I really do appreciate the opportunity to speak to you. Any closing comments?